up our delicious charcuterie board, and we were talking to Chris, and I was giving him a full review of the Museum of Death, and I decided that I probably should do it on the vlog as well, because we kind of just brushed over it earlier. I wanted to do a full little review of what we thought of everything. Museum of Death was a place that we went in the morning. I originally heard about it on the podcast that I listened to, My Favorite Murder, because they just offhandedly mentioned it one day, and I was like, what?
What's that?
I'm interested. Basically, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's all about death and things related to death.
I honestly imagined that it would be different. There were really old types of death.
Yeah, it was all kinds of death. Like anything you can think of that's related to death. It was there. The dude was like, oh, so like, how did you hear about us? And I literally said, oh, I'm into weird stuff. Like, why did I not say the podcast?
It was like, I sort of dragged them here. Like, that was the implication, you know? You were playing like, I just brought my friends here because I'm into weird stuff.
I really want to know what people's answers to that question are. Like, is anybody like, oh, you know, I just saw it on the street, decided to just pop in. So we go in, the first room is all about serial killer artwork. One of the things I find the most interesting in the creepy topic spectrum is serial killers. I was like, that was my jam.
The next room was the like state sanctioned killing. Like,
yeah, okay, yeah.
Capital punishment.
Yes, capital punishment. So it had like an electric chair, which was wild.
Florida,
Florida
chair.
Florida specifically. We executed Ted Bundy.
An outfit of someone that was electrocuted.
Yeah, that was crazy too. They had like his pants and like
shirt, and they were like, look at all these spots on his
blood
shirt.
stain. They also had some stuff from Alcatraz. I died. Remember the prison cup that I showed you in the gift shop a couple days ago? They had that cup. The next couple rooms were about like funerals and like what people do like when you die, which was one of the things that I wasn't expecting, like you said.
Yeah.
It was cool. Like, it was actually very interesting because they had a bunch of like old vintage caskets and the thing where after you die you can have your ashes turned into like a diamond. Like, they had that there. They had the thing where you can have your ashes shot up into space. Like, it was cool. It was
like the history, like how people mourn.
Yeah. That was interesting too.
A video of like what they do, the instructional video.
Yeah,
like how they embalm.
It was crazy. I just want to take a second to promo a YouTube channel that I love called Ask a Mortician.
Yeah.
While we were in the museum, Anna was like, oh my god, have you ever seen this girl? And I was like, Ask a Mortician, yes I love her. I've seen every video. It was so cool to see like the makeup that they use on corpses, which sounds stupid to say it's cool, but like it was cool.
So many things that I never thought a dead body needed that I was like, okay.
In this section they also had a bunch of like dead body photos. That was a little much even for me. I don't need to like see photos of like the gunshot
the
in
dead
your
babies.
Head. Yeah, the dead babies was a lot. I was like, I don't need
lot.
this. The other thing that was a lot that I forgot to mention, in the capital punishment room they had a mummified head, like a person's head.
Yeah.
That was a bit much for me. I was kind of like, all right, we'll just keep walking. We had a whole bunch of stuff about like mourning clothing.
That was amazing.
That was really cool.
That was fantastic.
They had a whole little section about Day of the Dead, which was awesome as well. I loved that.
And other cultures too, like they had like this with a Jewish funeral.
Yeah,
and like they had a Chinese burial suit. That was very cool.
It was neat. Also in that room, they had, this kind of made me shook a little bit. They had the suicide note from the godfather of the owner of the museum. Like, it was like to his son or whatever. And that was like, it was very sad.
It was really personal.
It was very personal. I kind of felt wrong reading it.
That.
It was in one of the binders that was like sitting
So
there.
it had like the coroner's report and then his letter was at the end.
It was really, I felt kind of wrong reading it, honestly.
Yeah,
it was very personal. But then from there, it took you went into this room that was full of different like skulls. So they had like different animal skulls and human skulls. They had a giraffe one, which was crazy.
That was cool.
There was an elephant one that
There was an elephant one.
Yeah.
I was like, how did you get this?
How did they get that? There was a lot of stuff that I was like, how did you get this?
A ton of stuff.
The next room was like a bunch of just like various crime scene photos. I feel like crime scene photos are also something that is also very personal, so I feel like bad looking at it, but also like I can't stop looking at it. And there was a section about like deaths from driving, so they had like all these like drinking and driving posters and like dead body photos. It was really creepy. There was a room that was all like California murders, so they had a big section about Charles Manson, which is like whatever. I don't know.
You're skipping over your favorite part.
We're coming back to that.
Okay.
We're coming back to that. Yeah, so the California section had this big part about Charles Manson, which is like whatever. Like, I remember when he died last year, everybody was like, oh my god, rest in peace. No, I hope he rots. I just want to preface, we don't think any serial killers are cool. Like, I just think it's interesting like how their mind works, if that makes sense. I think
And
their
actually,
brains are, like,
really
sick.
bothered me that when we walked into the Charles Manson room, the video that was playing was like about how his childhood was so horrible.
Okay.
And, like he had so many hardships.
Here's
Like,
the thing.
why are you telling me this? Because a lot of people go through really awful
And they don't kill
hardships,
people.
and they don't kill people. They're not sociopaths. They're not serial killers. They don't start a cult because they had
a bad childhood.
because they went through foster homes.
There
That's
are
not how
plenty
it
of
works.
people who have bad childhoods who don't kill people.
So it just really bothered me that it just happened to be like exactly playing as we walked in, and I'm like, why are you trying to make this guy sympathetic to me? Because it's not gonna work.
But they had a lot of stuff about him, because I guess he is one of the most famous. There's plenty of famous California serial killers though, like tons. Like I said earlier, the Pacific Northwest is like Disneyland for serial killers, so like there's many to choose from in this area. But anyway,
On that California section, they have this very little display about Black Dahlia.
yeah, no, I thought it was a decent display because
I thought it was
her
a little-
pictures were all over the wall too. They had a section about like celebrity deaths, and Sarah showed me this wild thing.
Oh my god, yes.
They had like binders on top of a lot of the things where you could like go through and like actually read more about it. And she comes over and she's like, oh my god, look at this.
Well, the first thing was I look at the date and it says 2015, and this guy's like, go to my MySpace.
He's like a murderer and a stalker.
He's a
of
celebrity
celebrities.
stalker and murderer,
And he's in
prison
jail
now.
right now. So
And these are his prison letters to this guy, and he really wants him to go look at his MySpace, I guess. He wanted this whoever he's writing to like look up facts for him on the internet. Be like, do you have access to the internet? Can you look up these questions? And he can write like a numbered list, like what's this? One of the ones that we thought were funny was in 2015, how many copies has Mariah Carey's latest album sold, in parentheses infinity, in parentheses something like that. And
did
do
you
you
like
her?
it?
Do you like her?
It was weird.
And then he was like, did you go to the Taylor Swift concert last
Yeah.
week?
And like
With
that was
her and Calvin Harris, and they live near you and stuff like that. He's enabling this guy.
Yeah,
for sure.
I don't know who this
and
guy
but that
is.
was like the same stuff because the other one was like, oh, can you find pictures of like Miley Cyrus's butt?
Yeah.
And they find these like sexual pictures of these celebrities for me
And send them
Why?
to me. And they had letters as recently as like 2016. So I was like, I was shook. That was like
You don't need to stop.
too much. Oh, they also had a section about OJ, which I don't know how anybody else feels. We are all of the belief that he did it, so
He did it, and the only reason they were not able to prove it at the time was because people thought that DNA proving was sketchy. Like they did not believe in science.
and it's not.
But if that had happened today, the DNA would have done him in. And watch The People versus OJ. So
Oh, yeah.
you can be further convinced.
So then the next part was my favorite part. Again, I don't want to say I have a favorite creepy subject because it's weird, but my favorite thing is cults, okay? And so the next part we go into, I see, it's like a glass like case, it's like a little room that they have, and you're looking into it, and I see a bunk bed with like clothing on it, and I literally gasped and was like, oh my god, is this Heaven's Gate? And they were like, yes it is, and I was like, oh my god. Heaven's Gate was a cult that had a mass suicide. You can look it up. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you about it, but they did a mass suicide in 1997. They had stuff like clothes they were wearing and like
The bunk
bed. It was so crazy. And like all this stuff, there were all these news articles on the wall from it. And a lot of the stuff we were like, oh my god, how did they get this? But this, they actually said, we got this because they sold all the stuff in an auction to pay for the legal fees from the estate of this cult. So it was like, they literally just bought this like for the museum from an auction. It was crazy. It was insane. And that led into a part about suicide. So they had a whole section about suicide. And like famous celebrities that killed themselves and stuff. It stopped being more like specific, like it turned into just like more like general death stuff at that point, I feel like. I think next was the cannibal part. Was that, am I right, do you think?
Yeah.
So then there was a part about cannibals, just a little tiny room. They had stuff about like Ed Gein and Jeffrey Dahmer.
You know, I turned to Kayla and I'm like, oh, these guys, he sounds just like American Psycho. And Kayla immediately was like, oh, these guys are.
These are the ones that inspired American Psycho.
Yeah.
I've got to return some videotapes.
Again, it was one of those things where I was going through the article thing. It really literally reads like a Wikipedia article. I couldn't stop reading it.
Yeah, no.
It was so
that's-
sad.
You don't
But
understand.
the more you
That's
go
literally
through.
me every time. I'm like, this is terrible, this is disgusting, I can't stop reading. And I read the entire Wikipedia page and I'm like, okay.
It was
That's how I
so
feel
sick.
all the time when I read this. I feel like I'm
Yeah.
crazy, but not anymore. I've gotten over it. We're into
But
it
yeah,
now.
he was literally, like, that wall was literally American Psycho, but for real.
Also, they had a bunch of prison correspondence letters from Jeffrey Dahmer, and I opened it up, and the very first one was on my birthday. I was like, you're not allowed to do this. This is only for non-murderers to write on my birthday. You can't do this. We were almost at the end by this point, so We went on and there was like a little section about like JFK being killed and
they had pictures
Yeah.
that were
very gruesome.
amazing.
Yeah.
In the worst possible way.
Yeah.
They were so explicit, and there was a note right next to the pictures where they were saying that, you know, the Department of Defense or Homeland Security or whatever says that there are no such pictures, that they don't exist.
Here
There are
are.
no pictures of JFK,
There was a whole room of taxidermy, which
I did not go in.
I said I was not gonna go in, but Sarah was like, we're going in, and I was like, okay, we're going in. It was
Just like a
weird.
brief look
It was
around.
it was a little odd. Like I love my dog, I would never taxidermy him. And then there was like a little theater at the end where you could sit and watch some videos, and then it was over.
In the theater, they had like this guest room, this guest book where you could write the question of the book said, tell us how you think you're gonna die, and the answers were honestly
So funny. This is a family channel, so we won't repeat all of them, but some of them were so funny. Like some of them were like not funny, but like stupid. Like one person was like, I better be taken out by a serial killer because the only way I'm going down is for somebody to murder me. And I was like, oh my god. There were a bunch that were like, I'm already dead inside, so it doesn't matter. There was also a full page of people writing my favorite murder references, which was pretty cool. I'm sure there's lots and lots of fans that go there.
We did not write anything
didn't
because
write
we
anything.
didn't want to
manifest
put that out
that.
there.
No.
Although I did like the couple of people who wrote, I'm never gonna
I can
die.
manifest that.
My favorite one was the person who wrote, thanks for the decor ideas.
Yeah. So
I was like,
funny.
oh my god, me. Yeah, so that was Museum of Death. It's not for everybody.
Definitely
clearly.
not.
And that's
if
okay.
you're squeamish about death, if you're squeamish about murder,
I think it's important to be open-minded as well when you go in, because there's a lot of stuff that, I don't know, like I've never seen before and I don't ever want to see again. So we really liked it. I'm really glad that we got to go. That was our review. We loved it. It was great. Thanks a lot. I'm gonna go give it 5 stars on TripAdvisor now.
yeah,
That was
I
fun.
just did.
Good job. Thank you. But that's all.
So,
Okay. Good night, everybody. Goodbye.